Everybody, St. Paul here. Welcome to episode 34 of Music on the Run. My guest this week, great guitar player, Canadian, and you probably know him from his solo career or his career with Bon Jovi. Phil X is next on Music on the Run. Hey everybody, St. Paul here. Welcome to episode 34 of Music on the Run. Yeah, I'm back from Hawaii. Man, what a great trip that was. I needed it. It was fun. I hope you enjoyed that last episode with Glenn Phillips from my lanai. Yeah, it was very tough. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's move on to my guest today. He's a guitar player, a songwriter, a vocalist. He's played on records for Tommy Lee, Avril Lavigne, Triumph, Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie, and Parliament Funkadelic. I got to talk to him about that. He has his own band, which is so cool, called The Drills. And he happens to be a current member of Bon Jovi. Please welcome my guest, Phil X. How are you, brother?
Say, man, that's cool if I'm talking about myself.
Hey, I did my research on you. I had a blast doing my research on you. You're a bad, you know what I'm saying?
Oh man, that's, I feel blessed that I get to play guitar and it pays the bills. That makes me happy.
But you sing your butt off, man. I was just checking out the new single by The Drills and
yeah.
So cool.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
So cool. And the lyric video is so cool. It's I love you on her lips, right? Is that the same? That lyric video is unbelievable.
Yeah. I had a buddy of mine. It's funny because, you never know. You meet people. You move to LA. I moved to LA in 97. So, and we had a mutual friend also from Canada who put me and my friend Frank Greiner together. And then Frank Greiner ended up being an assistant engineer. No, actually the engineer for Scott Humphrey, who was another Canadian who was producing Tommy Lee's Methods of Mayhem. And he did the Rob Zombie record, Hellbilly Deluxe, that put him on the map. So he did the Tommy Lee thing. And then it's funny. It's kind of like a true Hollywood story. I was painting the garage.
Of course.
And Tommy was like, we got to get a guitar player on this record. And Scott says, well, let's get Phil. And Tommy goes, the dude painting the garage. And yeah, so put the paintbrush down, walk in, pick up a Les Paul, I start playing, and Tommy's like, "Dude, you got to play on the whole record." Wow. But it snowballed into, Rob Zombie coming by, going, "Hey, man, I really like what you're doing on Tommy's record. Will you play on my next record?"
Well, he didn't come by and say, "Hey, I love the job you did on the garage. I need my garage painted." That's not how that went.
Somebody else said that. He goes, who painted this garage?
I mean, wow.
Well, they were turning the garage into, the garage is a good story, but they're literally turning the garage into a drum room.
All right.
So we were baffling corners and shaping, getting rid of all the right angles and for some reason. And then, but it just turned into this whole other thing. It's LA. So, Rob goes golfing with Alice Cooper and gives my number to Alice Cooper and says, you got to use this guy on your next record. So
it's unreal.
It just happens that way. And then there's other streams that happen. This stream with the Scott Humphrey, Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper stream is happening. But then a friend of mine from Canada who's in a band called Our Lady Peace. I met those guys in the beginning and played a solo on their first record. And then when he turned into a producer, he was producing Avril Lavigne and said, I got to call Phil. He's in LA. Hey, you want to play on Avril Lavigne's record? I'm like, yeah, what day? Yeah. So and then that turned into Kelly Clarkson, and then another stream started with Howard Benson, and it's just
You got to get to
bottom line
P-Funk.
is if you have to show up game and deliver.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think I borrowed a Les Paul to do the Alice Cooper record.
Come on.
I did, because this guy was already giving me, it ended up being a really cool dude. Like Bob Marlette was producing Alice Cooper Brutal Planet, and he had never heard of me. And he was like, yeah, I got to call this guy for Alice, whatever. Hey, man, you want to come on Wednesday and play some guitar? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'm like, man, I better not show up with my sticker guitar. Hey, Matt, can I borrow your Les Paul? So it kind of went like that. Borrowed the Les Paul, went in, and even when I was there, he was like, okay, I did all the rhythm guitars and the bass myself. Just looking for some pixie dust. Go. And they pressed record. Like, I mean, not even let's hear it. It was like press record to see what I would do instinctually.
Woo.
And then I was like, oh, man, you got this. It's all good. So the first thing that came out was, wow, that was awesome. Can you double it? I'm like, I have no idea what I did. Can I listen? So, I mean, I became that guy that if you want energy and tricky stuff and not out of the box, if you want out of the box stuff, you got to get this guy. Because he doesn't just come in and, like for me, I feel like let's have a big chorus and then do a chimey chorusy arpeggio thing.
Yeah, right.
And then it sounds like a car commercial because everybody's doing it, right?
Right.
So I would always find something else. I'm a songwriter, so I also try to vocal is king. So I would do stuff that would complement the vocal and the melody, and we got to get that Phil guy. That's how it just rolled like that.
But you're obviously a producer too, because you think like one when you play.
I think that's handy too. And you're totally right.
Yeah.
The producer credit that never is a credit.
Well, true. Yeah. But you produce yourself because you're listening for melody and for just so you know, a lot of my listeners are coming from the running world as well, so they're going to be fascinated by this. But just so my listeners understand, when you get called in to go do a recording session, sometimes the producer will give you very specific instructions, or write a chart, or tell you to play a certain line. Basically, what he's saying to us is that he gets called to do the exact opposite, which is put stuff that he's feeling off the top of his head. So he has to take into consideration what's already been put down and what he can add to it that won't overshadow the vocal. Right. So that's the translation of what you just said.
I remember the moment that it went from being in the studio with a guitar and the producer saying, I want this, 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 and this. But then when you work on 10 songs, this, and this gets really tiresome after like 2 or 3 songs. So then I'd start doing, hey, let's try this. Hey, let's try that sound. Let's try this part. And da-da-da-da-da. So then for the next project, the producer will walk in and go, oh, it's you. Yeah, do your thing. I'll see you in 5 hours.
Isn't that a luxury?
I remember the moment.
It's a luxury, right?
Yeah.
That's a luxury unless you start to get in your own head and you go, oh, man, I'm over my head or whatever. But it doesn't sound to me like that happens. You just show up and be you. You seem like a confident dude. You know what you're doing. You know what to play. And what the cool thing that I noticed about you through my research, you're super musical. You play great notes. You've got great feel. And everything that I listen to from my funk background and your rock background is everything you do has a groove.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me because I feel like groove is super important and finding that pocket. And that's why my bass player in the drills, because we've played with, 100 drummers, but my bass player in the drills, Daniel Spreewald, we're from Canada, so obviously he's my left wing for life, hockey styles.
Got you. Yeah. We're from Minnesota. We're not far from you.
He's the glue between me and every drummer.
Okay.
And I love drums. I'm a huge fan of drums.
But you play too, right? You play a little bit. You play a little bit.
No.
Come on.
I suck at drums.
Yeah, but you play. I bet.
No, I gotta say it's not what I do isn't playing.
Okay. You own a set of drums. All right. I understand.
But I want to, we got a junior kit for my son who is 7. And I want to get him interested in drums and guitar. And we have a piano laying around. I mean, without guidance, they just sit down and do stuff, right? Which is really amazing, important to me. But I feel like the groove is I feel like I always wanted to just have motion. And that's where some of the things that I've heard from producers is like, I know I'm a little on top because I'm a guitar player. Exactly 30 frames. No, but I know I'm on top because I'm a guitar player. But there's energy,
right?
So the producer will sit there and go, "Well, that sounds great. Can you sit back in the pocket a little bit?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I sit back in the pocket a little bit, and he's like, "Wow, so now it's in the pocket, but there's no energy."
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how to get both, So, but I'll try.
The quest for both.
And then another thing that a producer once said to me was, just record everything. How can I mute it if you don't record it?
Aha.
So there's all these things that you learn from other producers. And I mean, we're learning every day, right? You're learning about people, you're learning about music, you're learning about, you hear something on the radio and go, wow, that was a really cool chord progression with that melody. And we can listen to music like that. And I think that's so special.
Oh, totally. Yes. So you're from Canada. Is it Mississauga?
Yeah, which is just outside Toronto. I usually say Toronto because that's the one that everybody knows.
God, but of course I did my research and I saw that they inducted you into the Walk of Fame, which I think is super awesome that your hometown does that for you.
Yeah, it was really special.
I mean, it was.
You know what's really cool about that is my mom. She loves that stuff. And I happen to be in a situation like my mom's been there for the whole career. She's been there for the whole roller coaster ride. She was there for the dips and the peaks. Oh, yeah. And when we played, when Bon Jovi played in Toronto at the Air Canada Centre, which is probably called something else now, John let me sing the second verse of Wanted Dead or Alive for my mom.
Oh, did he really?
He said, "Hey man, do it for your mama. Let's do it. Here, take my microphone." He got me on his microphone and I sang the second verse of Wanted Dead or Alive. And I got it on video. And she's just, I'm seeing her. She's beaming. So that's my boy. So it's kind of like an incredible, when she saw me jamming in the basement and then she saw me playing in a club and then she saw me in front of 20,000 people with Bon Jovi. So and everything in between, obviously.
And his mom.
And she turned 84 last month. Sorry.
God bless her, man. You're a very lucky man that you still got your mom.
Yeah. She's definitely.
I'm in my mom's house. I inherited the family home. So she was an incredible jazz pianist.
Wow.
My whole family they're musical, but this is where we grew up. And what you see right here, this is the rehearsal space.
Wow.
When you come through town, we'll hang. We have a great hang down in this basement. We'll play the whole bit. But moms are special. She died a few years ago, but she was.
Sorry.
You would have dug her, man. So good for you that you honor your mom, man. That's so important.
It really is, and that's the Walk of Fame thing that you were talking about. She was there for that, and it just meant the world to her.
Yeah, I bet.
It's nice to be regarded in that way with from your peers, and it was really cool. I mean, she came to the Rock of Fame, the Rock Hall of Fame with Bon Jovi in Cleveland.
Oh,
and it was funny because I had my kids there. We were on the road, and then we're in Cleveland and we're doing the Rock Hall of Fame with Bon Jovi getting inducted.
Right.
And then my wife and my kids are there, and they're going back to Toronto with my mom. And so I don't know when I'm going to see them again. So I leave. I don't go to the after party.
Right.
So I go to the hotel and I hang with my kids, and then they leave the next morning with my mom. And then I'm getting calls from everyone. And they're like, you know what? we thought you were the rock star, but the rock star is your mom. She was at the after party dancing with Tico and hanging out and talking about you.
Oh,
and
man.
like, yeah, that's my mom.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So take me back to, I just want to get a little bit of history because I think it's fascinating. You starting off in high school with your band, is it Sidnex?
Wow, man. Yeah.
Come on with it. I want to hear about it because you're in high school and that band lasted a little while too, didn't it?
Yeah, we got out of high school. We printed a vinyl 6-song EP. I think, when you think back, if you could have done something a little, how we recorded the guitars, but that's a geeky thing.
Yeah.
I think the songs came out pretty cool. And it was, the first bunch of songs that I wrote, and the bass player wrote some lyrics to some of the songs. And it's one of those things where that was the first time. But when you're young and in high school, you're also super naive. Like, we're on our way.
Isn't that a great energy though?
I'm working at my dad's bar and to pay for and this guy got money from his grandmother and this guy got money from his parents.
Yeah.
And we're all like, we're on our way, even though it's coming out of our pockets,
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I mean, it's everything's, like I said earlier, everything's a learning experience. And I really getting to make a record and go out and do shows and play at the high school. And then I feel like whatever you're doing, if you're just playing all the time, you're really honing in on your craft. So, when we were doing 3 45-minute sets, I'd finish, thank you, good night. I'd go to my room and play Woodshed until the next morning. And then I'd get up and have breakfast and then Woodshed until we went on. So I was always playing guitar. So people are like, how much do you practice now? I go, not a lot, but man, back then, there wasn't times where I didn't have a guitar. And then somebody sent me a schedule even further down the road. Say, in 1988, I was toured with a Canadian band called Frozen Ghost.
Okay.
And then in 1990, I was touring with a band called Aldo Nova. And
right.
then in 1993, I played in Triumph for a bit and we put a record out. And then so now I don't want to be a side guy anymore. And I just want to be in a band and write. And then that leads me to moving to LA in 97. And you think, okay, now I'm in LA, something's going to happen. But no, you're working weird jobs and selling meat out of the back of a pickup truck and
what do you mean?
Wearing a sandwich board like you see in the cartoons. That was real for me for a week. And $10 an hour is $10 an hour. And then 99 is when I was painting the garage and then ended up playing guitar. But it's before I moved to LA, how it got to the point of what I have in my hands and what I have in my throat is a Monday night jam, a Tuesday night jam, a Wednesday night jam, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 45-minute sets at somewhere within a 500-mile radius, and then a Sunday night jam. And it wasn't uncommon for us to do 21 days straight. And when you play the ski resort north of Toronto, you're doing 2 matinees in the afternoon. So that's how I honed in this and this.
Yeah.
And I really specifically just, that's where the hands came from. And then when I'm in the studio now in LA, the engineer's like, can you stand further back? Because
from the mic?
You're acoustically louder than the near fields. And I'm like, well, I could pick lighter. And they're like, no. I love what's happening, but I can't, I hear you too much. So I'd have to back up.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's from playing in lousy bars with lousy PAs and lousy monitors and beating the crap out of strings.
You love it.
I love it.
That's the bottom line. Throughout the years, has that when we're young, like you said, it's just like, we're going to be great. We're going to be famous. We're going to be this now. And then you go through the ups and downs, like, maybe not getting signed or moving to LA and selling meat out of the back of the truck. Because some of these things can be hits to financially and hits to your ego. And I found it that some artists, it takes a lot of time to get through that. And some people will interpret those years differently. And it sounds like to me that you use those years as your preparation and learning years to enable you to get to do what you're doing right now.
Yes.
Is that
definitely
fair?
I think everything's school, right? When people go, hey, where did you go to college? I'm like, always a van with two dudes and a PA system.
Right. Yeah. On the road 7 days a week, 2 matinees on Saturday at the ski resorts. That's college.
I mean, it's something like, that's why I feel like I wish some of these kids, when people are like, when I do clinics and when I speak at schools and people have the questions and, what's it like to do that? And what's it like to do that? And what were you thinking when you did that? And it's always about not only staying positive and seeing like a light at the end of the tunnel, but what can I do to improve what I'm doing? Right. What would take it to the next level? And I just feel like you see all these videos, you open up Instagram and there's 100 guys like, you want to play faster? Take my course. And I'm like, well, that's not going to get him a gig with Lenny Kravitz.
Right.
Right. Or you have, when I was a kid and I washed dishes at 2 restaurants to be able to buy a Marshall 412 cabinet. And, you see the kids going, oh man, I wish I could buy that pedal, but I don't have enough money. I'm like, cut some lawns, man.
Yeah. Get to work.
Do something.
Get work.
The money. I didn't have the money. My first guitar when I was 11, my first pro guitar was a Strat, secondhand, $350. My dad said, you work at the restaurant, whatever you make, I'll match. And I raised $175 and he matched it. And I bought that Strat when I was 11 for $350. Because he wanted me, if I buy you a guitar, you're going to feel one way about it. If you work hard and put in your own dough, you will feel a different way about it.
He was right,
wasn't
wasn't
he? I
he?
want you to feel.
He was right.
Yeah, totally.
So were your parents, they're not musical, or are they?
Oh, my dad. My mom loves to sing. That's how they met. It's funny because they were both living in villages outside of Sartori in Greece. So my dad was south, my mom was north, and they never met until both families migrated to Toronto.
Oh, wow.
And Toronto has an incredible Greek community. So they met at a Greek picnic and he has bouzouki and he's playing bouzouki, probably that bouzouki right there from the 40s. And she heard him playing and she came over and started singing. And he's like, wow, you have a beautiful voice. And that, 6 months later, they're married.
Wow. That's it.
Yeah. So
music brought them together.
Dad, I didn't mean to cut you off, but my dad,
not at all.
He always wanted me to be a musician, but I think he wanted accompaniment.
He wanted a band.
So, hey, Bill literally bought me a guitar when I was 5. I could barely hold it, but that's what I wanted for Christmas. Wow. And he got me that guitar and I started learning Elvis Presley songs. And when I was 8, he was, we're at a wedding, like a big fat Greek wedding. They exist. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey, you want to get up and play some Elvis songs? I'm like, here? He's like, all kinds of people. He goes, oh, you could do it. So because I was 8 and had an Elvis Presley set. It was Blue Suede Shoes and Teddy Bear. So this is before YouTube.
Yeah. Boy, would I love to see that though.
An 8-year-old gets up at a Greek wedding and plays and sings Teddy Bear and Blue Suede Shoes. And this, you've never seen anything like that before in your life. So everybody started freaking out. And that was the defining moment of, this is what I want to do. So it's pretty, my dad was really super supportive. What do you need? What do you want to do? What do you want to get? I'm not getting it, but I'll help you kind of thing. which was really, it helped me really appreciate everything that I had. But then when I didn't want to go to college, like, you're going to college. I go, I really don't want to go. I really just want to make music. And he goes, and he wanted to be rough, but his one line to me was, you have a bigger chance of winning the lottery than becoming a rock star. And at least go to school and have something to fall back on. This is his approach. And I said, you always wanted me to play music. He goes, but I didn't want you to be professional.
Man.
But before he passed, he got to see some really big gigs. So and he got to see me on MTV, Much Music, which is Canada's
Canadian version. Yeah, I know it well. I've been on it before. Very cool.
So when he saw that a few times, it was like, okay, you're doing all right.
Man, I'm sure he's looking down. I'm very proud of what you're doing, man. What I see from my research on you is that you show up, you have fun. I saw the behind the scenes on the 2020 European tour that you did, that nice little 30-minute. You look like you're having a ball.
Dude. And it's funny, that tour that we got cut off because of COVID, we had to come home early, but I was doing press, and I hate days off. So, I mean, I get a call from John, like John Bon Jovi, calling me in the UK, go, hey, how's it going out there? I go, it's going great, man. How many shows you do in a row? I go, 4. And he's like, God bless you. Singing full on for 4 shows. That's crazy. Right. But I would hate days off. So we had, I believe it was 8 shows in 11 days. So I booked 2 clinics. So it was 8 shows and 2 clinics in 11 days. And I go off, I sing, I open my clinic singing Communication Breakdown because I need to, that's my warm up. So, it gets the blood going. So, but I'd say we did that. And in the between, I'm doing press and, so right now you're with the Drills, but in June, because nothing was canceled yet. Yeah. In June, you're out with Bon Jovi again. What's the major difference? I'm like, well, I'm in a van, sharing hotel rooms.
Yes.
Playing in front of 100 to 300 people.
Yes.
And in June, it's arenas and jets.
That's what makes people know you love music.
Yeah.
Because you keep showing up. And it's so funny. Those little small shows and those rides in the vans and those 3 guys in one room or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Sometimes, at least for me, that sounds like a St. Paul tour, by the way. Those are some of the funniest, most memorable moments and some of the most killing shows I've ever done are those little things because you know what the 20,000 is like, but you get the opportunity and you get the chance to go play on your own. And it's just, you can't even put a dollar figure on something like that.
You're totally right.
The fact that John supports you and is happy for you to do that is super cool because not all rock stars are like that.
Well, it's funny because we be landing somewhere in, let's say we're landing somewhere in Bucharest or something.
Yeah.
Or I've planned to go out to a Hard Rock Cafe and meet some friends there and get up and jam. Kind of like you walk in and you commandeer the house gear and start jamming. So I've planned to do that. And so we're landing and John looks at me and goes, are you jamming somewhere tonight? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you got security? I'm like, no. Thomas, make sure Phil has security tonight. We got a couple of shows to go.
Really?
Well, I mean, he's right. If something happens, it didn't even occur to me and now I kind of feel like a little selfish about it, but it doesn't occur to me that if something happens to me, something happens to them.
True.
So that's when it sunk in. But I mean, one of my favorite things was we had a day off in Adelaide in, I believe it was 2018. Yeah, I think it was 2018. We had a day off in Adelaide, and I had a friend in LA call me and go, man, if you want to play this open mic night on Monday, I got the rhythm section for you, and they'll learn whatever you want. And I'm like, okay, man, I'm just gonna learn a ton of AC/DC and Zeppelin, and so I don't advertise that I'm going to this place, but the fans already hear about it and start talking about it. And when
Yeah.
you can't get there, you can't move, and it's like, but I had such a good time. Just get up there and do some Zeppelin, and the rhythm section was great, like my friend said they would be.
Mm.
And what was really awesome was the band before us wasn't very good, so that just made us look even better.
Oh, occasionally that doesn't hurt, right?
Doesn't hurt.
All right, so we have this is called Music on the Run, and
Okay.
we want to talk about how you navigate your time on the road. How do you stay healthy? How do you stay sane? So what does a day in the life of Phil X look like, let's say on the Bon Jovi tour?
That's it would have been different after the Drills tour that happened. And I'll explain that in a minute, but it takes a minute when you're out there doing stadiums. We don't do sound check because the doors are open.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you got to try and do stuff that keeps it interesting for you. So, you know, you go for a long walk in Stockholm, and then you look on your phone the next day and you find out that you walked 7 miles because it's an amazing city. When we played Wembley Stadium, I had a friend with me, and he goes, "When's the car take you to the gig?" I go, "At this time." And he goes, "Oh, dude, that's going to take forever. Why don't we take the tube?" I'm like, "All right." So I take the tube from the hotel to Wembley, and so I'm at the top of the stairs. I get off the train, and this girl walks up to me. She's like, "Are you Phil X, or you just look like Phil X?" I was like, I get that a lot. And I just keep walking, right? Because if you stop for one, then
you're done.
A meet and greet at Starbucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we keep walking until, and then people are following us now, and they're like, well, "I think that's him. I think that's him." And then now you get pulled. So, but I mean, to me, that's fun stuff.
Of course.
I really you have to hit the gym. You have to. For me, it takes me a while to figure out when to eat and how much to eat and what not to eat. So it could be a week where, okay, this feels good, and then you get on stage and you're like, okay, that's not good.
Right.
And you don't,
totally.
you're going to sing Wanted, and you're like, you're gassy. So you got to watch what you eat and what time. My cutoff time is like 5:00 if we're going on at 8:30. So I don't want, but you need something to sustain your energy. So you have a little bit of pineapple and some fruit and some nuts to make the sugar last a little longer. Right. And then you're still hyped when you get on stage. So taking all that into consideration, you're also walking around a lot, and you're doing push-ups and lunges before you go on stage. So you're loose. And then basically that's it. I usually don't have breakfast. I usually just wait till 1:00 to have lunch or something.
Got it.
But with the Drills, it was a completely different animal when we were in the UK in 2020. We had a road manager, Carl, who was the best. He was a gift.
Okay.
Carl was a gift.
Got it.
He just, because not only is he wearing 4 hats, like road manager, advancing the gigs, advancing the hotels, selling the merch, making sure everything else is good, running the VIP meet and greet, all that stuff. He's wearing all those hats. He made us smoothies before we went on stage.
Oh.
He goes, "I can make you a smoothie." And I'm like, "Make it." So he makes a smoothie, and he's putting like stuff you've never heard of in the smoothie before, like turmeric and cayenne pepper to make the turmeric even stronger and do what it does. And then there's a little avocado in there, and there's half a banana, and I'm like, what the heck? And then you get on stage, and you got all this energy and you're ready to rock.
Yeah.
And then the show's over. You've done your 90 minutes and you're still ready to rock. And you're doing, selling merch at the merch table, doing all that stuff. I was like, man, I'm taking that shake to the Jovi tour.
Hello. Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
A little bit different story when you're on tour with the Drills than it is with John.
A little bit. Well, it's funny because I'm, musically, having both canvases is incredible.
Of course.
I'm driving this bus and I'm in the passenger seat on this bus.
Do you think that having both those canvases makes you a better team player in the Bon Jovi camp? When you got to be the lead guy over here and you have all the responsibilities, do you think it helps you support John better when you go into that situation?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's such a different animal that I really have to dial back what I do with the drill. I really have to dial back, but I do learn from John in a lot of ways. I learn, the way he paces a show, and he's a really cool dude to learn from. But when I go to the drills, it's way more manic.
Okay.
And my manic in Bon Jovi happens for about 30 seconds and keep the faith.
Okay.
Whereas my manic, except for the one breakdown version of a song, We Have Beautiful Apartment, that we do in the drill show, is pretty manic from top to bottom. I feel like, when I walk off the stage and I'm exhausted, I feel like the audience is exhausted too. They're like, I'm like, hey, how's everybody doing? They're like, I'm catching my breath.
I got a cramp.
But
so two different animals
though, too. The thing with Jovi that I learned early on was it's John's show and I'm there to support. And
got it.
Even in the beginning, I feel like, okay, so you're a musician and you're a great musician, but you that this guy playing that song and this guy playing the exact same song is never going to be the same.
Right.
I don't play like Richie.
Right.
I'm going to have a good guitar tone. I'm going to get as close as I can. Mm-hmm. And when somebody, I was getting a lot of questions like, what was the hardest song you had to learn? And I said, there wasn't really anything technically difficult, but sometimes trying to capture the emotion intended is harder than nailing the licks.
Right.
And people, but for me, I want to respect the band. I want to respect the music. You want to respect Richie Sambora. You want to respect the fans. So it was always about just being in that seat where all the respect is laid out and I'm just doing the job.
Yeah. Big shoes to fill in that band.
Oh, of course. You know, he was definitely a principal character. I mean, he co-wrote all the big songs and he's got that voice. His voice is amazing.
Yeah.
So, stepping into that position was, and it's funny because people were like, what was the first show? Were you nervous? I'm like, you don't have time to be nervous.
Right.
You can't get in your head. And when you're walking on that stage, you got to stay out of your head when you're walking on the stage and you're just you're thinking, dude, you've been playing guitar and singing your entire life. It's just Bon Jovi songs. You got it.
Yeah.
But that first show, 50,000 people at Jazz Fest in New Orleans.
Yep.
You see 50,000 people and they're all looking at you going, who the fuck is that?
That's not Richie's. What? Who? Yeah. So that had to be great, and it had to be weird, and
it was.
You seem to have handled it beautifully. Though.
I really thought, because that was my first time on stage with the band, and I really thought John would say something. Hey, Richie couldn't make it tonight. Let's have a hand for Phil Axe, who showed up out of the blue, and he's filling in. But he waited until the encore, so it was 90 minutes of everybody going, "Who's that guy?" But the funny thing is as soon as he said, "I'd like to thank Phil X for filling in for us," 50,000 people were like, "Who's Phil X?"
Oh yeah, checking you out.
They're
Oh,
all
hell yeah.
Googling who is this guy. So that was kind
Mhm.
of funny.
Well, you might as well tell us how you got the Bon Jovi gig, as long as we're talking about John.
It's funny. People think that we go back, because we do go way back, but John meets and works with so many people. Like, he's not. I'm pretty sure he didn't remember me from 1990. So John started a label and signed Aldo Nova and
Oh.
co-wrote and co-produced that Aldo Nova record, Blood on the Bricks. So I got into that band, and when we were rehearsing, even Aldo was like, "Hey, John's going to get on stage with us, and probably let's do Blaze of Glory." So we learned Blaze of Glory because that was his current single.
Yeah.
So we did a couple of events where we played Blaze of Glory, and then John would co-sing our single, Blood on the Bricks. And there was the Houston Summit or something, where not only was I in Aldo Nova, but Paul Rogers got on stage with us, and we played our
Ooh.
kid
Man.
with the long hair and the leather pants going, "Is this happening? This is crazy."
Right. Yeah.
So there was that. But then John, at the same time, John had to record an Elton John cover for the Elton John Bernie Taupin record that came out, Two Rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And he did Leave On, and he called Aldo and said, "Hey, my band's kind of on hiatus right now. Do you guys want to come to the house and we'll record Leave On and have some barbecue and stuff?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." So we came over, we recorded Leave On. So I played all the guitars on that.
Nice.
But I don't think John ever remembered that kid from Aldo Nova.
Right.
But it all happens, they say be at the right place at the right time kind of thing. But it kind of went that way. Like John Shanks, who had produced a number of Bon Jovi records at the time.
Who's a friend of mine as well. We share him in common.
See, there, Shanks. He basically, it was funny because, okay, so Ken Aronoff, obviously, because he gave you my.
That's how you and I know each other.
Digits, yes. And Chris Cheney was playing bass on this project. We were at Henson, and Shanks would walk in and see us having lunch. He'd go, "Hey, Kenny. Hey, Chris. Hey, guitar guy," like this. But then a couple of days later, we're in Studio D, and he's in his studio, and he hears that we're still there. So he comes into the studio and comes up to me and he goes, "You are funny mother effer." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I couldn't stop watching your guitar videos last night." And it sounds like you can play and sing anything.
See?
So that's how we met. Funny. 2 weeks later, he calls me. "I got your number from Chris. I think I have a gig for you. I can't tell you what it is over the phone. Can you come to my studio tomorrow?" And I went in, and I'm like, "What's this gig?" And he goes, "You might have to fill in for Richie Sambora and Bon Jovi." And I'm like, "What? How is that even possible?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Well, this is the situation. Here's a contract. Here's a statement of confidentiality." John Bon Jovi took John Shanks' word for it out of the gate.
Dang.
No audition, no nothing. 25 songs to learn.
Yep.
You might get a rehearsal. You might walk on stage.
Wow.
And I was like, this doesn't even sound real. And then a couple of months later, I had worked on the music. I got it all together. I felt pretty good about it. And April 14th, actually, this April 14th, it'll be 10 years.
Wow.
It was April 14th, 2011 that John actually called. I didn't get the phone because I didn't recognize the number.
Of course.
And the message was, "Hey, Phil, it's John Bon Jovi. I'm calling. It's my number." So I pick up, I call him, and we talk on the phone. And that was it. He said, I want you to come to New York at the end of the month, rehearse with the band for a couple of days, and put you on hold for May.
Yep.
So there was some kind of cycle that had been happening. Every time they took time off, when Richie came back, there was questionable performance situations.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man." And that's what happened. Except when I flew to New York to rehearse with the band, Richie had gone into rehab.
Got it.
So it was like, I don't know if you heard, but Richie went into rehab. So On Hold for May is now you're playing May. And I was like,
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was funny because John works in mysterious ways. I don't think anybody else knew, and anybody else in the band knew what was going on. So we get to SIR in New York, and John's calling songs, and I'm just rifling through the songs, and everybody's looking around. And I heard Tico go, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. It was. So everybody felt pretty good, and it was an experience, man. It was amazing. When you have an idea of how things work, and then you actually see the inner workings of something that big,
yeah,
it's pretty mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I learned about fans too. I learned about, I did 5 shows, and there was the same people in the front row at 5 shows, and I'm like, what's that all about?
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh, they're super fans, or I call them super fans. They love the band so much, it brings them so much joy. They go to multiple shows, and I go, so what? And then I meet fans in the lobby. What's with the Bon Jovi chairs? The front row is Bon Jovi artwork chairs, and they're like, okay. And so I'm not talking to fans in the lobby. Those are, if you get a certain VIP package, you get to take a chair home. And this girl goes, I have 5 chairs. Oh, you need a table.
Yes, you do.
So it was kind of like that, and it's kind of when I look back now, I feel like everything that played out was pretty amazing. And then they said, Richie's coming back. Thank you for your job. Here's a bonus. See ya.
Got it.
Yeah.
You thought that was
2 years later was when I was at Trader Joe's, and John calls, and I'm like, John Jovi calling.
I bet you did. Yeah. Look, everyone. Look, it's John.
What's up, Johnny?
Yeah. Yeah. Talking real loud. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, we need you in Calgary tonight. I was like, wait, tonight? And he's like, yeah, tonight. And Scotty's going to call you. Scott was a road manager, Scott Casey. And he called and said, so, hey, let's get you to get a car to your house in an hour, and we'll get you to the Signature Airport, and you will fly to Calgary. Like that. And meanwhile, me and my girl are pregnant. My girl is having a terrible first trimester, and I call her, and I go, hey, so I got a call from Bon Jovi, and she's like, oh, when are you leaving? I said, be a car at the house in an hour. Meanwhile, to my surprise, she's like, do you need me to pick anything up? Do you need me to do laundry? What do you want me to do? And I'm like, oh man, you're the best. So she's been my one since.
That's great.
But that was crazy. I didn't make it there was plane funk, so I didn't make it to Calgary in time. But the next day, we had a lengthy sound check in Edmonton, and then I've kind of been the guy since.
How'd that change your life, man?
It's funny because there's so many things that you think, like, okay, being in a huge band and a mega band, that there are positives.
Of course.
For me, being a session guy on time off, it kind of like hindered my session world.
Because you're gone. They think you're gone.
Yeah, you're not there. And then even if you are home, they think you're not there.
Right.
And that hurt. And then, we can't afford Phil anymore. He's in Bon Jovi. I'm like, okay, you guys are having a discussion I'm not included in.
Yeah. Please, why don't you just ask me? Yeah.
Yeah. You got my number? Call, text, email.
Please?
What's your rate now? I'm like, it hasn't changed.
Yeah. Let's hang.
Hire me.
Yes. I get it. Yeah.
So that was kind of it was kind of rocky a couple of times. But it's one of those things when the fans even in 2013, the magic was, you're in Madrid in a hotel lobby and a fan runs up and says, "Can I get your autograph?" And you go, "Yeah." And she pulls out 3 drill CDs.
See?
And that was, okay. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing. And then you meet people like, "Wow, I bought your drill CD and I really love that song. It's the lyrics. I really connect." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. You bought the drill CDs and you listened to them?"
We're still wired like that, man. Yeah. You like it?
Yeah.
You did?
You like me, really?
I love you, man.
But it's the other thing that happens is you become your name gets out there more. Since the whole Bon Jovi thing, I've jammed with some of my heroes, Billy
Such
Gibbons,
as
Wooly John Roth, who called me on my birthday actually yesterday, which was
yesterday was your birthday?
Yeah, I turned 55.
I'm still older than you. I got you by a year, brother. Happy birthday, man.
So wait, you're 56. So people are like, "Hey, happy," what do they call it? Double nickel.
Double nickels, yep.
So what's 56? Double nickel and a penny?
I don't know. No one calls me anything anymore. I think it's hush hush.
I have to tell you, and I gotta, now I've been talking about me the whole time, but when Kenny told me about you, I kind of dug into that hole too. And I was watching a lot of your stuff and I was like, wow, this guy's the crazy talent.
Oh, thank you,
and
man.
And then I found there was one that was called, I don't know, it was a performance in a van and it was nothing
jam in a van.
You, just you and keys. And I was riveted.
No way.
The whole time.
Oh,
because I'm riveted by stuff I can't do. I can't do that.
Got it. Wow.
And
I'm blown away that you checked that out.
I know, I think I told you when we were texting or on the phone or something, but I was really excited about getting to do that Funk 49 with you.
Wasn't that fun, man? I mean, for me, just for the fans who are listening to this, if you don't know, go check out Funk Friday. You know the series that we've been doing. The 49th one is a tribute to Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh, who is in the Eagles, is a legendary guitar player who wrote a song called Funk 49. And of course, we had to do this song for Funk 49 for week 49 or episode 49. I called my buddy Kenny Aronoff. I said, "Who do you think would be good for this?" And he said, "You got to try my buddy Phil X." I'm like, "Cool. I don't know Phil." He said, "Let me hook it up." Of course, Kenny, with his energy, he's like, we were connected within 30 seconds and you and I hit it off great. And let me tell you the truth now. I decided to play guitar on this as well, which was balls of steel, because I can't play guitar like you play guitar. So thank you for not going, "Jesus, you should turn this off." You were very nice, man, and it was just an honor to play.
You have a great feel, though. For me, it's I think you told your story and then I told my story. But I think the true star of that track is Lenny.
Yeah.
I love War. I love, Lowrider and Cisco Kid.
Yeah.
And all that stuff with the percussion. And I was like, it's funny. I think you sent me the track and you said, I don't have Lenny's track yet, but I'll send it to you when I have it. And then when I put it in, it was like,
Lenny's the baddest. And he's been on half of the Funk Fridays, and he's become such a dear friend. And that's what the beauty of Funk Friday has been for me. I get to meet people like you, get to meet people like Lenny. I mean,
and same thing. I got to meet you. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really fun.
When music brings people together, that's one of the best parts, right?
That's the silver lining in COVID for me. I'll tell you that. Just because we're, it's coming up on an hour here. We're coming near the end. There's something that's important to me that I want to ask you. Tell me about being a dad.
Man, for me, it was like okay, I got to be an uncle before I became a dad. I was a dad to dogs before I was a dad to kids.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's a buffer, kind of, right?
Right. Training ground, baby.
But man, when I held my son for the first time, it was like holding up my heart. And I was like, I was like, oh man, I'm never buying a guitar again. It's all about you. So, and that's honest to goodness, like how I felt. I have friends that haven't had kids that are musicians, and they you know, I always, and people like to compare stuff. Like, you know, what's it like? What's it this? Give me an example. Give me a comparison. So, you know, playing in a mega band, being a musician that plays in a mega band and we sell out Madison Square Gardens, which is a dream venue when you're a kid, and for 2 nights. And okay, so I'm in a mega band. We sold out 2 nights at Madison Square Garden last year. Being a dad is better than that.
Ooh.
It was, you know, it's one of those things where it's like you can't really compare it to anything. It's not, you know, it's not like having a 59 Les Paul. It's not like having a 56 Chevy Malibu. It's from your loins, dude.
It is loins. You know? Yes.
Actually, and then my daughter was born, and that took it all over the top. You know, actually, I got to be a bonus dad before I became a dad too.
Really?
So my wife has a 23-year-old from her first marriage, and I met him when he was 14. And then I was talking to my buddy Ryan Roxy, who lives in Sweden, and said, "Oh yeah, we don't use the step word. We call them bonus." And I thought, how did I not hear that in my 50 years? That's the coolest thing ever.
It really is.
It really is. And so I'm you know, I'm his bonus dad. And, you know, obviously when we were out and about, you know, I call him my son. But when, you know, if we're both dads are there, he goes, "Hey, these are my dads." And I'm like, wait, it's not like that.
Oh, okay.
Biological bonus.
There you go, man. That's a beautiful way to look at it.
It really is. I really was fascinated by that whole, and not about the term, but that I'd never heard it before.
Yeah.
Because it's such a great term.
Well, that's a cultural problem. you know.
Exactly.
I like that switch, man. That trend should, I hope that takes hold, because that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it really is.
Dude, this has been so much fun. Before we leave, tell me what you're up to. Where do we find you? What are you doing next? Are you going to put that record out? Is it out?
No, it's we're working on it. It's in the mix stages.
Tell Chris Lord Alge to hurry up.
Dude, he's a busy guy.
I know.
But you know what? He keeps me busy too. So I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah.
Because when I got back from the tour last March 13th, straight into lockdown, I was scared for 3 months. Yeah. I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to provide for my family? Everything got canceled. Bon Jovi got canceled. This got canceled. That got canceled. Projects got canceled. But in June, people started making music again. And I had the ability to record at home. So people were like, "Hey, can you throw guitars on this?" And one of those guys was Chris Lord Alge. He started producing in this COVID madness.
Okay.
And, you know, because a couple of times it was like, I'm mixing this song and I can't even get anything out of these guitars. Can you replace them? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then it became, wow, you're really quick and really awesome. And I'm working on this thing. And if you want to be the guitar player, who should I get to play drums? And it turned into this whole thing. And this project just has been flourishing. And some of the best music that we've made, it was with Chris this year.
No kidding.
If he's busy, I don't press him. I'm like, hey, hit it when you can, dude. But there's a lot of songs. So Stupid Good Lookings was volume 1. Volume was 6 songs. Volume 2 was going to be 6 songs, but now it's going to be 10 songs because there's been a different drummer on every track. Like I said, I love drummers.
Okay.
But in this case of it being so long since volume 1 came out, we're just going to put 10 songs on it. I do realize that people love content, but not all at the same time.
Yeah.
But if I go on my live chat and talk to 30 to 60 app members, premier members on my live chat and go, you guys want 6 songs or 10 songs? It's usually unanimous. They want more. They want 10 songs.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it's good to, mind you, I Love You on Her Lips that just came out. That's a standalone single.
Yep.
And then the song that we put out at the end of last year was called Right on the Money.
Mm-hmm. Great song.
And that was our COVID ISO video / fan video. We got all these fans in it singing the chorus and stuff. And that was really amazing too.
You cut that at Capitol for his Mix with the Masters or something like that, right?
And we did 3 songs there. Oh yeah, that was a song that was recorded there. And that was my first time to see Chris do his thing. Because it always, like, I do my guitars at home. He does his stuff at his studio. And we never see each other. You know, right. I deliver Dropbox. He delivers PayPal. See you next week. You know?
Perfect.
So when we went into Capitol, I was completely blown away. I'm watching this guy play a key, like a sound console, like a keyboard. Like he's dancing and doing this and doing that. And then we were doing Right on the Money. And I think after the tempo change, bridge section, I was just going to go into the third chorus out.
Yeah.
And he came in the room and he goes, hold it. We got to do this thing. Yeah. Brent Fitz was the drummer. Brent, you take this drum break, build into a solo, build that into the chorus out. And that's exactly what we did. Looking at each other. Like, I love recording like this. There's an urgency to it. Dan didn't know when to come in for the, I'm giving him cues and we're doing this. And there was no edit. There was no overdub. I mean, I'd put another guitar on the right when I got home just to fatten it up. But the guitar you hear on the left was recorded with Dan and Brent. And Brent, what he played is what you hear on the track. And what Dan did on bass, you hear on the track. It's just, I love that. I love
live guys playing their instruments for a whole 4 minutes.
Yes. It was so fun. It was so fun.
And then, it turned out great, man.
And it was funny too, because I called Brent about the video and he goes, dude, I really don't know what I did. And I'd have to learn it and it would take me a couple of days. Can I just like read a magazine for a joke or you cut to something? I ended up cutting to VIP photos from the tour in the UK.
Great.
So that it all ended up being a fan item, fan video. It was really awesome. But yeah, I mean, going into Capitol Records was great. And Chris choosing us was flattering because he's worked with so many bands.
Of course. Yeah. You got to say yes to that. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So we don't know when that's coming out, but where can we find all things Phil X?
Instagram is PhilX1111.
Okay.
Facebook is The Real Phil X. And YouTube is also, my YouTube channel is also PhilX1111. Cool. And I was getting into this role of, I got to get YouTube happening or something, you know, when lockdown happened. So there's some really cool covers on there. We did a really cool Black Dog with Tishy, and we did, I went way deep into Unchained by Van Halen with Kenny on drums.
Oh, cool.
And then after that, I talked through the whole guitar process. Like, it's not the Frankenstein, it's a Les Paul. And I have to wear it higher so the chug is right.
Right.
And the low E string is slamming into the pickup, which is why it sounds so violent. And the new striped MXR flange doesn't even come close to this 1976.
So you brought him into the tech world and how-to.
And you know what? Because I got a kick out of it.
I bet you did.
This is me being a nerd, and welcome all that want to hear what I have to say.
Sure.
And I think the cover came out awesome. It's Dan again on bass. And then what else did we do? Do you know Randy Cook?
I don't.
Okay, he's another Canadian. He's a fabulous drummer. He's down here. We did a really cool Fire on Fire. It's called Power Trio on Fire. It's Fire by Hendrix.
Oh,
but it's super fast. And I do this really stupid solo medley at the end where I go from the Eddie Van Halen's Beat It solo to Randy Rhoads' Crazy Train solo. Everything's fast.
Yeah.
Faster than it should be. And I think before that, there's some TV shows, Flintstones, Gilligan's Island. And then
excellent.
So
Our
it's
era.
a lot of fun. I have my musical tastes and craziness is evident.
And humor, and you're a knucklehead, and that's perfect.
Dude, we're all knuckleheads, man.
Yes,
all my
we
favorite
are.
musicians are knuckleheads.
It's the only way to be. It's all about my big brother Billy, who's an incredible bass player, played with the Steve Miller Band for 25 years. He's a great upright player. He says it's all about the hang, man, and he's so right. Because music for me.
Wait, so 25 years?
Yeah.
Does that take us back to Midnight Special, or was it after Midnight Special?
After Midnight Special.
Because
88. Because I played guitar. I played guitar with Steve from 88 to 92. My brother played bass. My other brother played keyboard. So it was the traveling Peterson brothers. Oh, it was, man. And that's back when I was still partying my butt off. So it was not pretty. That. Anyways, we've got stories to tell each other. So our hang is not done. It might be done for the podcast, but we're for hanging now.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for being so transparent. I think getting the real stories about what it's like to actually live the life of a musician, how you love being a dad is so cool. I love that story. And just your journey from when you're in high school and your mom and dad supporting you and giving you love and sending you on your way, and now you're in Bon Jovi. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're such a positive dude.
Turns out, I feel, like I said, I think I opened up with this whole thing with, I feel blessed that I can just play guitar every day and pay the bills. And I mean, if we're not creating, what are we doing? Right?
I know. We're lucky, aren't we?
We
get
really
to do that.
Are. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me, brother. I appreciate it so much. Phil X, everybody. We'll see
Peterson.
You. Yeah. All right. We will see you in a couple of weeks. We are out. Thanks for watching Music on the Run. Music on the Run was hosted by yours truly, St. Paul Peterson. Edited and produced by my buddy, Davide Raso. Artist relations by Owen Sartori. Video editing by Tanner Montague. And a very special thanks to the people who financially support this podcast. And remember, don't give up now. We're almost home free.